Welcome to the edition of Boxing and From your host, The Islander, and this is the results show week ending February the 16th. I'm going to try to do two shows back to back to try to fit them together, so it may take a little while to get them uploaded, but let's go over the results from last week and then look at some things that are coming and also some different news and whatnot. A lot of you wanted me to address the Margarito issue as well as the Calzaghe retirement. I'm going to try to go ahead and fit that in. Alright, Friday the 13th, New York, ESPN card. Pretty impressive little fight to start, to get the thing started. I kept turning this on and off, and some of you had emailed me about what I thought of who the guy on ESPN was that was continuing with this conspiracy theory. That's Brian Kenny, by the way, in the studio, who I think if most of you write hard enough to ESPN or persistent enough, maybe they'll put me on there to do my show every week from, you know, their studios in Connecticut. Alright, Ray Robinson continues his way up as he took on Darnell Giles in kind of a risk for both of these fighters, and Ray Robinson brushed him aside in a third round TKO. Looked very impressive. Hopefully we'll see more of him as he progresses, because it's not very often that ESPN keeps chronicling the same fighter in you know, I guess sub 10 round fights, at least not all in a row like this that I've ever seen before. Maybe his name, I don't know. But he does have some skills. The main event, Alexis Camacho from, I don't know if he's from, I guess from Arizona, pretty much got his head handed to him by Carlos Molina. You know, Teddy Atlas brings us up over and over again. This was a prime example of a guy who has his record padded from being in a, what I call weak area of the United States, fighting in club circuits, fighting on smaller cards in small towns against nondescript opponents, and then coming to the big time, which is New York, and fighting the, you know, Carlos Molina didn't have 20 fights either. Neither one of these two guys did, headlining the show. But I thought Molina won the fight 7 rounds to 3. I mean, pretty handily, pretty easily. And I thought he could have possibly gotten Camacho out of there in the either in the 9th or 10th round. So a decent card for ESPN. Moving ahead though, on Saturday night, what I didn't get into my last show was that Alfredo Angulo has gone from his opponent, which was Ricardo Mayorga, through 3 opponents to finally Danny Perez is what I reported. He dropped out for some reason. I think it was the money. And then insert Casimir Rivera. And my hat's off to him, because this was a no-win situation for him. Angulo is a big 154-pound fighter. Casimir Rivera is coming up from 147. And right away they butted heads in the first round. I don't know why the referee ruled it from a punch. I don't know what the hell, or maybe I got that backwards, but it was from a butt, and Angulo started bleeding above his eye. But it became readily apparent that Rivera, one, could not back Angulo off of him, and he could not move away from him, and Angulo just tagged him unmercifully before they stopped the fight in the 4th round. And you know, I think there's a great deal of respect from Angulo to Rivera after the fight, because he didn't have to take the fight. And like I said, I think everybody knew it was a no-win situation for Rivera, and our hats off to him for actually stepping it up and filling in on short notice like this. He's a trooper. Angulo, you know, again, the world is still his oyster as he keeps plodding along. Bigger things for him later on this year, I'm sure. The second fight, Sergio Martinez, the ever-present interim WBC junior middleweight super welterweight champion, taking on Kermit Cintron. Alright, before I'm deemed a hater, let me just tell you this. The decision was horrendous. I thought Martinez won the fight. I thought Martinez won the fight by a knockout in the, it was the 7th, 8th round, at the end of the round. 8th round, I guess. 7th round. Here's the deal. Cintron got off to a decent start, and Martinez, like Max Kellerman said, a difference of class started evolving. Here's what I've got, and here's where you're going to probably get mad at me. Both of these guys are vastly overrated. There's no two ways about it. HBO tried buffering us for this by saying, you know, this wasn't, Cintron's not an over-the-hill Alex Benema. But here's the deal. For a southpaw, he does some strange things, like moving to his left. I mean, if he was fighting somebody like Alexis Arguello, he'd been knocked out. I mean, just out cold. I mean, he moves right in, or Kelly Pavlik for that matter, moves right into the path of the right hand. Why Cintron wasn't throwing it? The only thing I can think of is that Cintron, because he had been brought up, I don't know who his trainer was coming up through Reading, where he was just a bomber. But in the fights that he had with Emanuel Stewart, all of Emanuel Stewart's fighters are taught to use their height like they should, set everything up with a jab, and follow 1-2 against the southpaw that is a killer. And if you remember the Jermaine Taylor fight against Corey Spinks, what was Emanuel Stewart telling Jermaine Taylor in the corner? Forget the jab, just fire the right hand, just fire the right hand. It's the same thing that Cintron needed to be doing, but guess what? He brainwashes them into, and it's the right thing to do against an orthodox fighter, to, jab right hand, jab right hand. And after that knockdown that Cintron complained was a headbutt, he did fight a little bit better. Again, and somebody named Arturo1, let me get the email here, had asked me if I thought that HBO ever shows their colors of who they want to win. It's obvious who they want to win. I mean, they wanted Martinez to win. I mean, he's got a little bit more flash and pizzazz to him, I guess his looks anyway, than Cintron does. And this fight, I could have swore I heard the referee say 10. It doesn't matter whether you're up off your feet, if you're on your feet, if you're on your ground, on your knees. No, I don't care what Max Kellerman was saying. If the referee says 9, 10, the fight is over. It's not you're up at 10 and no. If he says 10, the fight's over. It always has been. And there have been fighters. Look back to this fight. Lupe Pintor versus Hurricane Taru. Referee, he was up like about 9.5, up at 9, and the referee still counted 10 while he was on his feet. And the other one, Diego Corrales versus Jose Luis Castillo 2, the second fight. Corrales was up on his feet. Joe Cortez still counted 10 and counted him out. So if the referee says 10, the fight's over. I don't know what the hell is going on here. The draw made me want to throw up. I mean, I didn't see that fight being any closer than 8 rounds to 4, and that's pushing it. That's pushing it. I think it was really like 9 rounds to 3 with an extra point for the knockdown. That's just me. But again, I think both these guys are overrated, and I think that Daniel Santos is going to take apart Martinez. I'm not sure about Vernon Forrest, but he to me is like the modern day Gianfranco Rossi. He's just cute enough in his style and annoying enough in his style in some ways, which I know most of you are going to say it's great boxing, it's great boxing skill. Listen, he does things wrong and he gets away with it, and I really think that HBO is pumping him up for no reason whatsoever. And that's what really gets me on the case of these guys, when HBO pumps guys up like this. Alright, the main event. Nate Campbell, who, before I taped the last show, failed to make, or after I taped the last show, failed to make weight. If anything you could take away from this is this: Nate Campbell is the most honest boxer I think I have ever come across in recent years anyway, if not all time. Because the first thing they asked him, Max asked him after the fight was, go through the week, leading up to the fight. Were you in shape as normal? And he said yes. He goes, we're usually 4 pounds above, about 139, coming into fight week, and the last 3 or 4 pounds didn't come off. He's honest. He apologized. He is honest. The fight, I think he won the fight. I don't think, again, you could argue that he lost the majority of the rounds, but there were some rounds where Harold Letterman was giving Funeka just round after round after round, and I was thinking, wait a second, Campbell did some heavy damage in those rounds. Just 1 or 2 here and there. It wasn't, I thought, a clean sweep across. Campbell comes out walking down Funeka for the first round. No two ways about it. He landed more punches, did the damage his round. Round 2, more of the same, until he cracks him with a right hand on the temple, makes Funeka's legs go, and then another right hand plants him on the canvas. Funeka did outpunch Campbell, but here's the deal. Campbell did not throw as many punches as Funeka. Campbell landed more total punches and definitely landed more power punches than Funeka. And I think his size and reach really played a part, just like Nate Campbell said. Again, he's the most honest fighter. I have the utmost respect for Nate Campbell, because I think that he could have just done what Yuriorkis Gamboa did and just not fought, but he's in need of the money. And, the fans were here to see a show, and he put on a show. The scoring, I would not have argued if the fight was ruled a draw. I think that Campbell did just enough, assuming that he's the champion, to get the win. I know a lot of people in the crowd were not, pleased with that. And going back to the fight, it looked like Funeka was going to win this decision until he got caught on the ear in the 11th round with a right hand when his leg did jiggle again. And then Campbell followed up with a couple more punches where Funeka tried to tackle him, and they both went to the canvas, and the referee correctly ruled a knockdown. I think that punch in that round actually saved Campbell, because what happened in this fight is Campbell really looked like he was going right hand crazy when he scored the knockdown in the second round. And to me, I don't know about you, but he looked like he was very winded by the end of the by the middle of the third round. As a matter of fact, I thought that Campbell was winded. I'm going to cut it short here with those results. I'm going to do the second show now with the what do you call it, the preview next week, as well as the news. So stick with me, everybody. Thanks.